Hello and welcome to this week's service here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation Santa Rosa. My name is Chris Bell. I'm the senior minister here, and I'm grateful that you've joined us. Last week's service, if you missed it, was celebrating the Christian side of our particularly Unitarian heritage and described an ongoing tension between theistic and spiritual and religious and more humanistic and rational and empirical tendencies in our movement, which has often resulted in conflict. Well, we're not going to resolve that tension this week. In fact, we're going to celebrate it, which I think is the answer to that puzzle. We're featuring a service on our humanist tradition today, and I thank you again for joining us. However you're doing out there, however you're feeling, filled with frustration, concern, fear, despair, worry for your children, for your parents, or whether you're feeling hope, feeling some of the unfolding possibilities of life, if things are going easily for you at work or poorly, or you have no work at all. I want you to know always that the fullness of your human self is celebrated and welcomed here at UUCSR. We're doing okay all together, hanging in there. Thanks to so many people. I just want to shout out some gratitude to all the folks that are keeping things running during this time that we can't be together. Paula Hammett in particular, and the other lay chaplains and folks who work in the office who are keeping things moving, our caring team, Gretchen Vapp and Mac Freeman in particular, our leadership of Natalie Brundred and the board, our fine staff. Lots of folks are helping us keep things held together and moving until we can be as one again. I particularly want to give thanks this morning to these fine folks, Aaron and Robert Howesman, who are stepping down after 5 years of leading our stewardship team that have encouraged us to be generous givers so that we can expand the ministries and services here at the UU congregation. And done an incredible job getting so many people signed up for automatic giving and encouraging a conversation about tithing. One reason we're doing okay as an institution right now is because of the groundwork they laid for all of us to be generous supporters of this, our beloved community. You'll hear a little bit of Robert's music later in the service, but I just want to thank them both and hope you'll extend that thanks. While we continue to face these extraordinary and challenging times, they're hard. But if we keep connecting with each other, keep performing deeds of kindness and trying our best to make peace and bring justice wherever we can find that opportunity, stay patient with ourselves and each other and keep our heads, I know we can make it through. We're going to stay grounded in what's sacred, which is the power of love. And if we do all of that, maybe we can see that even now in these hard times, life is filled with many blessings. And I hope this service is one of them for you. God bless you, and call me if you need me.
The words for the Chalice lighting today are The Light of Truth by Richard M. Fuchs. May the light of truth illumine our minds. May the spark of love set our hearts on fire. May the flame of freedom burn brightly within us, now and always.
So many blessings, like flower petals raining down, where there's no beginning, no end can be found. No one can be found. Mahadeva, 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 Mahadeva. So many blessings, like flower petals raining down, where there's no beginning, no end can be found, no end can be found. Mahadeva, 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 so many blessings, like flower petals raining down, where there's no beginning, no end can be found, no end can be found. Mahadeva, 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 so many blessings.
I was drawn to the topic of humanism because of memories of my late father and his praise of humanism. The American Humanist Association employs the motto, "Good without a God." In the Humanist Manifesto 3, American humanists express beliefs familiar to us Unitarian Universalists, including the use of reason to understand the world, that humans are an integral part of nature, that ethics is treating each person as having inherent worth and dignity, that fulfillment is attained by dealing with the challenges of human existence, and that working to benefit society maximizes individual happiness. For me, though, the gift of humanism is providing a space for people like my father to reject the existence of God, to question organized religion, and yet to be ethical and good. My father converted to Catholicism when he married my mother in 1958. I think he made a sincere effort to live as a Catholic, taking communion, going to confession, attending Mass. Around the time I turned 16, though, my father stopped going to Mass and, more provocatively, began to express his belief that God did not exist. He would say that he couldn't see how God could have any agency in a world which was so chaotic and unfair. I can also remember him saying that love was the honest expression of intimacy between two people. At the time, I didn't really fully understand why Dad was changing. I began to understand my father's metamorphosis when I was a young adult with a family, and he was a gay man now divorced from my mother. Now in his 50s, My father could talk more open about his sexual orientation, and I could see how his being gay made him question society, Catholicism, the existence of God. He had grown up in an era when homosexuality was shameful, and I think he couldn't fully accept that he was attracted to men. I also understood better his earlier comments about love being the expression of intimacy between two people. Something else contributed to my father's doubts about God. He was marked by a tragic accident of his childhood when he was babysitting his younger sister. He was pulling her around in a wagon, and he must have gotten distracted. He was talking to a friend when a neighbor, backing up his car, ran over his sister and killed her. Even though he never talked about it, Dad carried this incomprehensible guilt around with him the rest of his life. I heard from my father's husband that Dad had talked about that incident in the last weeks of his life, in the delirium of end-stage Alzheimer's disease. In his senior years, before being afflicted by dementia, Dad did find refuge in humanism. He had always believed in reason and in trying to use reason to make the world a better place. I think that's why he went to medical school and became a pediatrician. And humanism gave Dad a way to be, and feel to be, a good person, even though he had rejected Catholicism and theism in general. In many ways, I can identify as a humanist. I do see the value in using science and reason to understand the world and our place within it. I particularly like the injunction that we work to improve society as a way of increasing individual happiness. That's one of the concepts that drew me to Unitarian Universalism, the idea of service. Still, I believe in God, and in some sense of the supernatural, and I think that would make many humanists uncomfortable. To you, my humanist brothers and sisters, I confess that I cannot explain my belief with logic. A social scientist might say this is a residue of my having grown up Catholic. I don't know. For me, though, it's part of who I am.
Hey, our religious education program is taking a little break while we transition to our new director of religious education, Erica Pone. And while school gets started, we will start up again with Sunday classes in mid-September, and the time for all ages will start to appear in our services again. But we're still going to sing the principles song and say our affirmation. We sing the principles to the tune of Do, Re, Mi, much easier to remember than the original version. And we sing them every week, whatever our age, because they beautifully distill the humanist heart of this tradition and its vision of the world. The words will appear there, and I hope you'll sing along with me. One, each person is worthwhile. Two, be kind in all you do. Three, let's help each other grow. Four, keep searching for the true. Five, each person has a say. Six, work for a peaceful world. Seven, the web of life's the way that will bring us back to you, 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 you. And we are Unitarian Universalists, people of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands.
Hi, I'm Tamara, one of your lay chaplains. Milestones is a place where we share our joys and sorrows with the congregation. You're invited to light a candle to remember those you are holding near to your heart. Richard Fung and Patty Salmo celebrate their 27th anniversary of being together and sharing a wonderful life on August 21st. Ellen Scatterberg, with Eric's support, launched a budget version of a little free library in her front yard, with 2 boxes on a table and a free book swap sign. Kids' books are going fast, and people have added a few books of their own. A gratifying neighborhood project. From Beth Wittergreen, my UU friends, I am making progress in healing from my hip replacement surgery. All I had to do was absolutely what my doctor and physical therapist told me to do. It will be 4 weeks tomorrow, and I have already graduated from a walker to a cane, and I am driving for the first time since February. I want to thank so many of my UU friends who provided food, medical equipment, and just checking in supportive phone calls. Gretchen Vapp was my angel, both in giving me medical advice and drives just about everywhere in Santa Rosa. Bless you, Gretchen. If you have something to share with all or a private concern to talk over with a lay chaplain, please contact us at laychaplains@uusantarosa.org. We give thanks for sharing of these milestones, for how they remind us of our shared humanity and our common fate, and inspire our compassion and care. May all our joys be magnified as we delight together in the good news. May all our sorrows be eased as we carry them together in community. May you who are searching for courage, comfort, faith, and hope find what you seek. And may all people grow in wisdom, compassion, and love, that the whole world might live with justice and in peace. Be safe, be well.
If you would like, perhaps you would join me in a prayer. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, O holy living universe, I praise you. I give thanks for you. I give thanks for creation. I give thanks for this day, for the gift of my life, for all of the challenges that have come to me, that have grown me into the person I am, for the challenges yet to come that will continue to grow me, and for the many, many blessings that surround us all, for that hot, hot sun in the sky, the bountiful gardens all around us, flowers and vegetables, for all of the creatures of the earth, for all our fellow human beings, for family and friends and supportive spiritual communities, for hardworking people of every faith and every political persuasion who care for their neighbors and try to build a better world. Let me never lose sight of the many blessings and all of the things I depend on to live. I give thanks for all of these. I give thanks today for new great-grandchildren, not mine, but from within the congregation. I do give thanks for my granddaughter and all of my family. I lift up today people I'm caring for, the Barrows family, Janet, and all of Bob's children grieving and his loss, which we celebrated in a memorial service this weekend. I am praying for Karen Lillard, dear friend of the congregation, longtime member, one of our treasurers who is home ill and on hospice care. Pray for Shirley Rank, still recovering in a rehab facility. Let her be healed as quickly as possible. And so too Sid Gordon, doing okay after a short trip to the hospital. Prayers of healing for everyone out there who is struggling with illness or fear, or mental health issues, financial issues. Let courage and strength come to everyone who needs it. Please let continued healing come to Beth Wettergreen as well. I'm praying for all of our children facing the challenges of going back to school in this time, for their parents and grandparents and caregivers dealing with that. Praying for everybody who's struggling for justice and transformation of our society under these extraordinary circumstances. I am praying as always for safety and strength for the healthcare workers of this nation and all around the world. I'm asking, Spirit of Love, bless all of us, bless all your children, bless all of our relationships and connections and partnerships, that they might be turned toward the good, toward peace, toward happiness and prosperity and well-being for all people. And let me awaken again to the call of that love to do what I can. I'm sorry for the ways that I have failed myself and failed you and failed my fellow human beings. And I rest knowing I am forgiven and ready to start anew. So thank you again for this day, for this community. God bless everybody and everything in the whole wide world. Amen. So as we started to speak about last week at the service, I hope you enjoyed, there's this strange quality, this tension within Unitarian Universalists, and certainly most Unitarian Universalist congregations, and the tradition as a whole, whereby a bunch of people who are sometimes quite different from one another in their thinking try to come together and live a common spiritual life. And from the outside, that can be baffling at times. How does a people who, it can be observed, some of whom simultaneously are saying yes to God, no to God. We are a religion. We're not a religion. You should read the Bible. I've never read the Bible. How did that come to be? And how does that work? And why do that? It's rooted, this strange quality of a community like this, in that history of growth and evolution and self-criticism that is the story of our tradition. It starts way back in the 1700s when more liberal ministers of the day in those old Massachusetts churches and along the eastern seaboard began to really question the negative view of Calvinism in terms of how it saw human beings. That was the primary Christian theology of the day, and gradually over time, influenced by Enlightenment thinking and other streams of thought and the emergence of science, they began to cultivate a considerably more positive view of humanity, not a bunch of doomed sinners who had already made God mad just by virtue of being born, but the children of God, as it were, and who could cultivate what were seen to be evolving good qualities and wisdom and insight and the ability to shape the world in a positive way. And out of those earliest Christian ministers, whole streams of thought through transcendentalism and into humanism that really saw the possibility and potential of human beings. One of the great quotes from James Freeman Clarke, I say it a lot, onward and upward forever. That was the vision. That's still my vision, that however slow it may be, humanity is evolving into its potential and its possibilities. And another big part of the historical evolution of this kind of thinking was the emphasis on the capacity of reason. We have this remarkable tool to discern truth and to discern things that are useful or not useful. And frankly, as powerful as it is, it runs frequently into direct opposition with certain more superstitious, perhaps, or less rooted in nature and human life religious views of the world. So this tension, this kind of argument evolved. How much of the past do we need? How much do we want to hang on to? You had one side, everybody being basically friendly, saying of God, that's great, but it's not necessary. And we want more ethical approach to life, and maybe the other side saying your ethical approach is great, but it's not sufficient in its own right. Well, somehow that dialogue has continued to the very day. And we still find under the same roof, maybe even in the same person, very different languages to describe a spiritual understanding of the world, very different practices about what we think the right way to live and evolve as a person may be. I embody that tension. It's not just an abstract part of the tradition. My own story is something like that of the tradition. I grew up a contented Christian, but questioned biblical literalism, the contrast with scientific views of the world, and certainly that whole notion that any God or powerful force that was said to be love, synonymous with, in fact, the same as love, would possibly cause beings to be eternally damned. It made no sense to me whatsoever. So, like many before me, threw that whole thing out. Leaving out for my own self, though, so many riches of that tradition. And I was downright anti-religious for a while and had what I called then a humanist view of the world. Everything should be based on reason and science, and we would develop paradise on earth using our brains. I don't have, in this day and age in particular, that much confidence in the human brain anymore. But anyway, now I have come to have a broader view that wants spiritual language and sees the value in that and has experiences of certain spiritual realities, but also absolutely wants to hold on to a way of approaching life reasonably, rationally, as much as we possibly can. So, as much as I might want to, and frequently try, to turn you on to a vision of God, the divine, the great big thing, Mother Nature, that would be of use to you, that is not irrational, even if it transcends reason, as much as that's important to me, as much as that's an important part of my spiritual life, I would never, as a Unitarian Universalist, sway from some absolutely core principles, which is that everyone is precious and all views have some truth in them, and no one person can ever fully capture the truth. And it's actually the dialogue and the tension and the engagement in these walls and beyond them that grows us as people. And to me, those are embodied, that spirit of let's find some things that we think everyone can agree on around the way to live together, and then within that, try to come to a discovery of a meaningful spiritual life for ourselves. And our principles, as Michael said, are very much the core of that way of doing things. And they have such a harmony with the root ideas of humanism that you might find in any of the humanist manifestos, which you can read online, or any of the fascinating and inspiring readings over at the American Humanist Association. And we sang those principles to Do Re Mi a little earlier on. I trust you know them well. My way of living with the tension, I guess, one way, is that I have reframed the word humanist to not mean not theist, or not even not religious, certainly not anti-religious. I think the essence of humanism is that whatever our views of the ultimate nature of reality or what happens after we die or any of that, that religious or non-religious, human beings must come first. The well-being of our siblings here on the planet, our own well-being, the well-being of the planet itself. That we know this is going on, and so this is the place, and these are the people, all of them, who we must learn to live with in peace and love. Maybe a better word for it would be humanism. If humanism, like God, is a too-loaded word. Humanism. Much like the Dalai Lama once said, my religion is kindness. My universalism, that we are all part of a fabric, a conscious fabric called the universe that's made out of love, demands humanism. And a person who thinks there's absolutely nothing more than the flesh of the body and everything ends when we die, well, all the more reason to need to make this as healthy and wholesome an existence as possible. Humanism for all people. Now, another quality of humanism, as I said, was that rosier view of humanity. Human beings were kind of the pinnacle of nature. we are in many ways. We're certainly the top of the food chain. We have more control over the destiny of the climate of the planet and the creatures that live on it than any other creature does. But I think the 20th and the 21st centuries so far have challenged an unduly rosy view of people. And certainly right now it can be hard when we feel so divided from our neighbors, when we can't even agree on basic strategies to deal with health problems, when it's obvious, as it should be from any reading of history, that there are always people who will absolutely take advantage of others, even unto the point of death, for their own advantage. We see that all around us right now. What makes it religious humanism is that in spite of appearances, in spite of our failures as a species or a community or individuals, we have faith in the basic goodness and the unfolding possibilities, the evolving, bettering possibilities of human beings. We hold to that with all the conviction of any person of faith. And we look at and try to take the whole package of humanity with all our contradictions and all our weirdness, all of our struggles, all of the woe we cause to each other. And although we want to change those things and grow and be shown ways to evolve as people, we also say, okay, humanity, you're all right. You're doing your best. I love you. So that's really the central spiritual practice of Unitarian Universalists, theist or humanist, pagan, Buddhist, whatever. Our goal as a religious community, our goal as individuals, is to be balanced, to be open-minded, to be open-hearted, to unite opposites and contradictions with a larger, wiser view. And in the middle of that, to still find the courage to stand for something clear and good and faithfully proclaim our hope and our trust in life, in each other, and in love. We live in community together to put that to the test and to learn how to be gracious with one another, to practice a covenant that's designed to alleviate that tension of differing viewpoints with the behavior of love and acceptance. And that's what our covenant is all about, where it says we pledge to seek unity in our diversity, to welcome and respect divergent opinions and beliefs, to listen to one another with open hearts and minds, to acknowledge our own shortcomings and be quick to forgive them in others, and to celebrate life, empower people, care for one another, and help to build a better world. That's a beautiful humanist expression of our religious life. And I can tell you, it is my awareness of, belief in, trust in what I call God, the living universe, the great big thing, compels me equally into that very covenant. There may be a certain kind of absolutely anti-religious person who will never be happy here, as long as anyone is speaking about their experience of the great big thing. And maybe one or two of you think that's all hoo-ha, but you come together with me, and I come together with you, and we say, that doesn't matter so much. You know, singing, hugging, caring for each other, feeding the people on the streets, practicing graceful, trusting openness with each other, being curious about each other, that matters more. That is a path for all of us to what we seek. And the final thing to say is that practice that we do in community with each other is the manifestation of a practice we might well do with ourselves, to look at our own complex, contradictory, rational and irrational, reasoning and wildly emotional, selfless and selfish, kind and cruel, hardworking and lazy selves. And yes, I am describing me. Do I contradict myself, as Whitman asked? Very well then, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. Just like this congregation, just like the planet itself, we are large. We contain multitudes. But we can all be humane to each other. If we can accept that we contain multitudes, that difference, however challenging, is ultimately a blessing, then you can start to know what we're talking about by universal love or unconditional love or a love that won't let us go. And everyone, I hope, theist, non-theist, humanist, whatever label you want to apply, can agree that that is the greatest good. Love, unconditional love. And I just want to lay a little on you right now and tell you, human being, you matter. You're a beautiful expression of nature, and your life has profound, infinite meaning. I pray for your safety and your well-being and your continuing growth, and for nothing but good things to come your way in the weeks to come. And I pray that the universe will continue to find ways to show us how to grow our humanness, our humaneness, since that is exactly what brings us closer to God. Thanks for listening to me.
Show me the hopeless, that I may bring hope. Show me injustice, that I may rebel. Show me the needy, that I may provide. Show me, please. Show me the darkness, that I may shed light. Show me the wrong, that I can make right. Show me the helpless, that I may defend. Show me, please. Our time is short, but our reach is great, and love reveals our soul. The gifts we share are the lives we make, drawn from a sacred home. Show me evil, that I may find grace. Show me the weary, that I may give rest. Show me that music will rise from the din. Show me, please. Our time is short, but our reach is great, and love reveals our soul. The gifts we share are the lives we make, drawn from a sacred home. Show me evil, that I may find grace. Show me the weary, that I may give rest. Show me that music will rise from the din. Show me, please. Show me that music will rise from the din. Show me, please.
Our closing words are from the hymnal, number 659, For You, by the great Walt Whitman, one of my all-time favorites. If you need some uplift, it's time to bust out Leaves of Grass. And this, of course, is from that. It's called For You. The sum of all known reverence I add up in you, whoever you are. Those who govern are there for you. It is not you who are there for them. All architecture is what you do to it when you look upon it. All music is what awakes from you when you are reminded by the instruments. The sun and stars that float in the open air, the apple-shaped earth, and we upon it, the endless pride and outstretching of people, unspeakable joys and sorrows. The wonder everyone sees in everyone else they see, and the wonders that fill each minute of time forever. It is for you, whoever you are. It is no farther from you than your hearing and sight are from you. It is hinted by nearest, commonest, readiest. We consider Bibles and religions divine. I do not say they are not divine. I say they have all grown out of you and may grow out of you still. It is not they who give the life. It is you who give the life. Will you seek far off? You surely come back at last in things best known to you, finding the best or as good as the best. Happiness, knowledge, not in another place, but this place. Not for another hour, but this hour. May you find that spirit, dear ones.